When Meera stepped out of the palace into the streets, she broke the status quo. This was resistance to the state, resistance to the government, to custom, convention, and patriarchy. In opting out to search for God, to wander out in search of God. Meera, like many other saint poets, identified herself with the destitute, the homeless, the vagrants, the marginalized, the oppressed. For the women poets fighting gender discrimination, even today, is a huge struggle. Imagine in Meera's time, today in Rajasthan, a woman does not go out without covering her face. So imagine the 15th century when Meera lived, walking out of the palace into the street. What a huge act of rebellion that was. So she took on the male prerogative to wander freely. And this is one of my favorite lines in Meera. I bore sorrow, I bore humiliation, hardship, and I laughed at the petty world. Lord, slash this noose, this hangman's noose that binds me to the world. Dukh apman kasht sab sahiya, kutil jagat ki hasi. Meera kahe Prabhu giridhar nagar kaato jagat ki hasi. जन्म जन्म की दासी मैं हरि चरणन की दासी. This Bhakti movement ostensibly brought extraordinary changes to the social fabric. Through music and poetry, the Bhakta challenged orthodox establishment, state power. Bhakti was liberal, democratic, communitarian in spirit. Also, the poetry and the legends surrounding Bhakti poets and Bhakti poetry tell us. Political leaders such as Mahatma Gandhi were very quick to appreciate Bhakti's power and make the songs of the Bhakti movement part of their nationalism's rallying cry. We know that. ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान. ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान comes directly from the Bhakti movement. But whether Bhakti really reflects such a democratizing impulse, or quite to the contrary, signals a stealthy appropriation, a sly appropriation of radical voices by the dominant culture to preserve the status quo. It's a question that is being debated by historians today. It is possible to see protest elements in Bhakti as a kind of safe outlet for populist expression, similar to monitored status inversion between master and slave you'd find in Shakespearean drama or the Greek carnival. But notwithstanding all these very academic questions, what endures as the prevalent construct of Bhakti in the popular imagination is this. Tulsi Daas and Surdas were not elite court poets like Kalidaas or Bhavabhuti. They were the people's poets. If Tulsi Daas sang, the words were repeated by thousands. All barriers of rich and poor, high caste, low caste, touchable, untouchable, Hindu, Muslim, man, woman were forgotten. This is a song by Tulsi Daas which I like very much because it is total surrender. Tu dayal deen ho, tu dani ho bhikhari, ho prasidh paat ki, tu paap punj hari, brahma tu जीव तू ठाकुर हम जेरो ता You take whichever form you want. Tulsidas tells God, you accept me as a child, as a wife, as a servant, anything. I'm yours, totally. Now, another poet, Meera's guru, Kalidaas, was a cobbler. Look, imagine an aristocratic princess having a cobbler for her guru. Even today, in the little temple of Meera in Chittorgarh, where she worshipped Krishna, opposite that is a kind of a chhatri. You go up a few steps and all that you see is a stone floor with the imprint of 2 feet. Those are supposed to be the feet of Kalidaas, Meera's guru. So you have to first bow to Kalidaas before you see Meera's temple or Meera's Krishna. That is the value of guru in the Bhakti tradition. So this is he says, I totally surrender to you. This is a lesson, this is the teaching of Kalidaas to Meera when she was a child. They say, जाऊं तोरे चरण कमल परवारी, जाऊं तोरे चरण कमल परवारी, हो गोपाल गोविंद मुरारी, शरणागत हूँ द्वार तिहारी, जाऊं तोरे चरण कमल परवारी, अनगिन दुरित भयो The importance of the charana, the feet of the chosen God, can hardly be overstressed in bhakti. There are devotees who think only of the feet of the God whom they worship, not of the rest of the form. All light, all grace, all compassion, all salvation, they believe, arises from their surrender to this feet. The Marathi poet says to Krishna, Lord, come quickly, you who are compassionate, ready to shower mercy on the downtrodden. Take me across the turbulent ocean of life. I surrender myself at your feet. Remove my fears of birth and death. Dhava vibho karuna kara madhava deva daya Famous song of Bal Gandharva. So even in Natak, you had this. The last thing that I want to say today about Bhakti is about the paradox of faith and doubt. You heard total faith, total surrender in so many of the poets that we talked about, particularly in Daas and in this unknown Marathi poet. But Bhakti poetry is charged with a very special tension. It's balanced between the polar opposites of faith and doubt. Before we go, I don't think, if you want to think of faith, total, complete, unshakable faith, I don't think we can beat Shyama Shastri in Mayamma. If you remember those lines. Sthiramani, sthiramani, sthiramani nammiti padapankajamula sthirama, with total, complete conviction, 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 conviction at your feet. Sthiramani, sthiramani, sthiramani nammiti padapankajamula sthiramani. Yes, the second one is sthiramani nammiti, sthiramani nammiti padapankajamula sthiramani nammiti, nammiti, nammiti. He has no doubt. There is another poem where he says, what mistake have I done? What crime have I committed? Please forgive me. I'm just going to sing 2 lines from both those Ashtapadis. Mamiyam chalita vilokya vadhuvritam nichayena saparadhataya mayapi navarita atibhayena. God says he's afraid. What mistake have I done? I'm full of fear. Bhaya, he says. Hata darataya sagata kupiteva hari hari hata darataya. The other one we all know. Priye charushile. Charushile smaragarala khandanam mama shirasi mandanam dehi pada pallava mudaram jwalati maidaruna madana kadana runa tatra tadu pahita viharam priye charushile priye charushile. So God begs the human being to not to abandon him. But there are mood swings in bhakti which cause the doubt, and that is what I'm going to end with doubt, because I think that is the great tidal wave of doubt keeps sweeping over us, particularly in the times in which we live.